Valentine's Day is just around the corner, so let's talk about a little bit of love, man. There were a lot of skeptics as to if Jordan Love can be that guy for the Green Bay Packers, the next quarterback great. Jordan Love was obviously following in the footsteps of Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre and taking along their yearly traditions. Aaron Rodgers' traditions from the standpoint that he owns the Chicago Bears, owns the Dallas Cowboys, but ends up losing in the playoffs to the 49ers seemingly every single time, and picking up the tradition from Brett Favre, making an unnecessary throw down the field across his body with the season on the line. I'm just kidding, Packers fans. Don't come after me. To be fair, that was a horrible decision by Jordan Love, but that's neither here nor there. That's not why I'm here in this video. I'm actually a big fan of Jordan Love. He's been one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch this NFL season, watching him progress, watching him grow as the season has gone along. And I want to talk about why I think he has the potential to be one of the better quarterbacks in the league. I think he's already trending in that direction, but I think he can solidify himself as one of the best quarterbacks in the league starting next season. And I want to talk about why, and I want to talk about how he even got to this point. Let's take a trip back memory lane for a little bit. Jordan Love was the 26th pick in the first round of the 2020 NFL Draft by the Green Bay Packers, of course. During the time where Matt LaFleur had just come off his first season, the Packers were 13-3, and things looked sweet. The Packers were Super Bowl contenders. For as good as they were, though, they did have some deficiencies, mainly the defensive side of the ball, but also the receiving core, and obviously that's going to be magnified when you have a guy like Aaron Rodgers. Coming off of that year, Davante Adams had led the team in receptions with 83. The next two pass catchers were Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams, two running backs. The Packers had failed to replace Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb, who had left. Those two were go-to guys for Rodgers when things got tough, along with Davante Adams, and when those guys left, the cupboard was bare at the wide receiver spot. For as much as Rodgers masked many flaws of the team, it just wasn't enough against stiff competition. Therefore, the talk of the offseason was to buffer the weapons around Rodgers, namely at the receiver and tight end spots. So when the Green Bay Packers decided to not only take Jordan Love, a relatively unknown quarterback at the time, they also proceeded not to draft a single wide receiver in that same draft. That sent many Packers fans into an uproar, criticizing the team for not helping Rodgers try to reach at least one more Super Bowl, as his career was on the back end. We knew these were the dog days of his career, and there were only a limited amount of opportunities he was going to get moving forward to make a Super Bowl. Obviously, Rodgers was frustrated by the decision making, and that kind of added fuel to the fire with the already shaky relationship he had with the front office at the time. But life went along. The situation for Jordan Love sitting behind Aaron Rodgers for 3 years was eerily similar to Aaron Rodgers sitting behind Brett Favre for 3 years. Obviously, the goal was to keep Rodgers as long as possible, but once he felt alienated, the relationship with the front office wasn't the best, so the writing was on the wall for him leaving. One great thing the Packers can peel out of that was Aaron Rodgers was really helpful to Jordan Love during that time frame. Love even stated on how much sitting behind Rodgers benefited him despite the wait, saying, "I learned a lot. I was able to watch a great quarterback and how he works every single day, how he handles his business in the locker room, interacts with teammates, how he attacks every day. I was able to sit for 3 years and kind of just pick his brain and watch him work." During the 3 years, Jordan Love had barely played. His first real playing time he got was versus the Chiefs in his rookie year, when Aaron Rodgers was out due to health and safety protocols. Love started that game and the Packers ended up losing 13-7. Love obviously looked shaky. He struggled a bit in that game, quite a bit in that game if I might add, but he did show flashes here and there of what he could potentially do. Fast forward all the way to the 2022 season, and I think this is where a moment where Love really showed his potential off to the world. On Sunday Night Football against the Philadelphia Eagles in Philly, the Packers were looking to keep their slim playoff hopes alive. They were 4-7 at the time, taking on the juggernaut 10-1 Eagles. Rodgers got banged up, hurt his ribs a little bit, headed to the locker room. Jordan Love comes in the fourth quarter, and against the number one pass defense in the league that year in the Philadelphia Eagles, Jordan Love comes out, throws a bomb to Christian Watson, and runs it in for a touchdown. And although it was a short sample size, you could see Jordan Love getting better. You could tell he improved upon his feel for the pocket and how to maneuver effectively. Therefore, he played with more confidence, started to use his legs to buy himself time, and he made confident throws that many young guys are too afraid to make. Although they lost, the coaching staff and the organization had to feel great about Jordan Love's development and him taking that next step. The Packers' 2022 season was a disaster. They finished 8-9, lost to the Lions with a chance to clinch the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers probably had his worst year of his career as a full-time starter. The lack of weapons had caught up to him. Davante Adams had obviously left by then. Obviously, Rodgers ended up leaving shortly after, joining the Jets in the offseason after contemplating retirement for most of that season. And the Love era was underway. Coming into the 2023 season, Love was the guy through and through, but had a rocky start. The Packers were 2-5, looked like they were heading for rebuild mode, but in the fishing game against the Packers, saved their season. Love went 20 of 26 for 227 yards and threw 1 touchdown. It was halfway through the season and we still didn't see that one really great performance. He had a couple really good performances in there, but as far as a great performance that let us know that, oh, this guy is here, he's arrived, we didn't really see that yet. But I guess Jordan Love just wanted to wait till Thanksgiving when all eyeballs were on him to go ahead and showcase that. And he did. They were playing against the division rival Lions. Not the same old Lions, the 8-2 Lions. The talk heading into that game was how great the Lions were and how they were looking like the best team in the NFC at the time. And the Packers and Jordan Love just quietly just strolled in a Ford Field and hit him with a bomb. First play of the game. He connects with Christian Watson for 53 yards downfield, as Matt LaFleur pretty much sent a message saying, we have the utmost confidence in this guy. We're going to let him make plays and not play scared. That right there was the start of a trend for the Packers. They had won the coin toss that game and wanted to receive the ball. Not only did they receive the ball, they were aggressive going downfield on that first drive and ended up scoring. There were 3 other instances later in the season when the Packers had won the opening coin toss and received the ball. You really don't see that too much anymore in football, but he received the ball and allowed Jordan Love to get in rhythm as quickly as possible, taking a lot of deep shots early and often in games. And obviously 2 of those instances were in the playoffs against the Cowboys and the 49ers respectively. So that lets you know where Matt LaFleur was in terms of the confidence he had in Jordan Love. But not only did he have the confidence in Jordan Love, he had a great scheme and game plan to back that. And that's where most coaches mess up. They say they have confidence in the guy, but the scheme doesn't really reflect that. They ended up winning that game 29-22, I believe. And that Lions game proved to be the turning point for the season and for Jordan Love as he began to find his groove on a more consistent basis. The first 10 games of the season, Love was completing 59% of his passes, threw 16 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, taking 22 sacks as well. In the final 9 games, 2 of those being playoff games, he completed 70% of his passes, throwing 21 touchdowns to only 3 interceptions, and obviously 2 of them were in that Niners game. He only got sacked 8 times in those 9 games. Jordan's game is so Rodgers-esque in a lot of ways. Something he picked up was throwing off platform and throwing off his back foot. Those were things that kind of got him in some trouble earlier on in his career, but as the season went along, as the years have went along, he has gotten better at it to where he's more comfortable making those types of throws. And it's very tough on a defense when you have a guy that can just be a game breaker. You send pressure towards Jordan Love, it doesn't matter. He can just throw off his back foot and still complete a pass accurately downfield. You bring pressure against Jordan Love and he maneuvers out of the pocket and throws off platform, or he steps up in the pocket and throws with both feet in the air. We've seen that a couple times already with Jordan Love, and that's just from the Aaron Rodgers tree type stuff. He showed flashes of his deep ball ability. According to Player Profiler, he was 16th in deep ball completion percentage, completing 37% of those deep balls. Not the best, but he's getting better at it. Play action game was really big for Green Bay as well. That helped him out a lot. Obviously, having Aaron Jones there, you can kind of see the difference that he makes when he's in the lineup. And remember when I talked about them not emphasizing the wide receiver room? Well, it pretty much took Davante Adams leaving in order for them to address that position. Guys like Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Luke Musgrave, Tucker Kraft, who are tight ends, Dontavion Wicks, are all guys who have been drafted by the Packers just in the last 2 seasons alone. These receivers and tight ends can grow with Love and build a really good connection, a really good rapport as they all get older. They're all 23, 24, 25 years old. They have a lot of prime left and they're just getting started. Love and LaFleur actually talked about how not having a premier wide receiver was actually very, very instrumental in the success of Jordan Love, just because he didn't feel the need to force the ball to a premier wide receiver just because he is that top guy. He needs his targets. He needs his catches, right? Many young quarterbacks, when they have a premier wide receiver one, they feel obligated to throw to him a lot, to start to build a lot of bad habits, having that receiver in their ear and whatnot. Now, obviously not all wide receiver ones are like that, but there is that reality out there. And for Jordan Love to be able to spread the ball around to different receivers, different tight ends, even Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon out the backfield was very, very helpful in his development over time. What I really love about Jordan's situation, pun intended, and why I think he could be one of the top quarterbacks in the league is because he has the quarterback whisperer on his sideline in Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur, like I said, deserves a bunch of credit for the development of Jordan Love. I think he had a great balance of letting his quarterback take some shots, let him run the offense and have that confidence in him, while also not letting him develop bad habits that could contaminate his game later on. So shout out to Matt LaFleur as well. All in all, I think Jordan Love is trending to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now. I think he's one of the best young guys in the league. One of the better quarterbacks in NFC. How many quarterbacks can you realistically say is better than Jordan Love in the NFC? I'll let y'all answer that down below. That's the question of the video, I guess. How many quarterbacks in the NFC would you take over Jordan Love moving forward? So y'all answer that question for me. But Jordan Love is definitely one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league now, and I'm very excited to see what he can do moving forward. But y'all let me know how y'all feel about Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. What do you think his ceiling is as a player? I don't think he can get MVP status. Maybe. I mean, he has a little bit of Rodgers in him, but maybe he can get to that MVP status. I'll say he's just a little bit below that. Might be in MVP talks next year. Who knows? But y'all let me know how y'all feel about Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. And that's going to wrap it up. But this is Jimmy from Just the Facts. I'm signing out. Peace.